Alright, so we've got our bar charts showing revenue and revenue change by store. And they are telling us a lot already, but to make these comparisons across stores easier to understand, I would like to sort these bars descending. So to do that, the first thing that I need to do, which you may recall from the last project, is to remove the worksheet name from this cell reference. Because if I don't, then Excel won't let me properly sort by this column. So I'm going to start by doing that. And since this cell is in the current worksheet, you'll see that my reference is still working properly. I'm going to do the same for previous month revenue here. Delete this. Again, our cell reference does still work. So now we can apply both of these down. And now I can sort by revenue. So go to data and sort descending. Now, remember that bar charts are sorted in the opposite order as their source data. So I'm just going to sort this ascending instead. And now we've got our descending bars. Now, this is exactly what I wanted, but the problem is that my source data is going to be growing, and this sort order may not always be the same. In fact, let's just test this and add a new month of data into the mix. So I'm going to go to my new data tab for August, select it with Control-Shift-Arrow right and arrow down, copy it, and then just paste it underneath my data here. And you'll see that the table absorbed the new data, which we can tell by this little corner icon here, which basically indicates the bounds of the data table. So we have the new data. Let's go to the data prep tab. You'll see that now the current month is August 2021. We've got all these new KPI values. We got a new data point added to our line chart. And if we go over to our bars, you'll notice that not only did all of my stores fall in revenue compared to last month, but that our bars are no longer sorted correctly in descending order. Now we could just sort it manually again, but what we want is for our dashboard to be fully automated. So we are going to have to do this with formulas. And the first thing that we need to sort these dynamically is to figure out where each of these stores would rank. So let's add a new rank column, and we can use the rank function. Now, you'll see that Excel has a number of different rank functions, and they basically vary in the way that they handle values with the same rank. But in this case, it's not very likely that there will ever be a straight tie, so we can just choose any of these. I'm going to go with the first one. It's going to ask for a number first, so we want to know the rank of this number in reference to these numbers here. I'm going to fix that cell reference, or that range reference. And then if I come over to the last argument, it's going to ask me if I want the rank in descending or ascending order. And we are going to want ascending, so I'm going to press 1. And that way our bar chart is going to be sorted descending. So let's close this, press enter. You'll see that we get a rank value of 1 for Hollywood, which is telling me that it has the smallest revenue out of these stores, which as we can see is correct. So let's just apply this down, and we get the rest of our rank values. So I'm going to fix my formatting here. And now that I do have these ranks calculated, what I can do is create a second table. Let's call it store performance sorted, that sorts these stores by this rank. So I'm going to write rank here, and I'm going to write the ranks manually from 1 to 10, since that's the order that we want to display our stores by. So now what I want is to pull my store, my revenue, and my month over month percentage revenue change, which is what I want to plot in this chart here, based on these values. So what I can do is use index and match to look up the corresponding store revenue and month over month percentage change based on this rank value. So the array that I want to index is this one right here, which contains the data that I want to look up. I'm going to fix that since that's not going to move. And now that I have this array indexed, what I need to do is tell Excel in which row and in which column the data point that I want lives. So in this case, we're looking for the store that's ranked number 1, which is Hollywood, and it lives in the first row in the first column here. So I could simply do 1, 1, close this, and I will get Hollywood. But if I apply this down, then this is no longer calculating properly. So I'm going to undo and step back into my formula. And what I need is a function to return the corresponding value here. So I'm going to use match instead. And what I want is to look for this rank, and I'm going to fix the column here. So I'm going to press F4 3 times because I do want this to move down as I copy my formula down, but as I move it across, I want it to stay in this column. So I want to look for this rank in these ranks here. I'm going to fix my range. And if I come over to my last argument, I want to look for an exact match. Close that. So now my function is going to look for this value here in this range, find it in my first row, and then return that number back to my index function. So if I press enter, you'll see that we still get Hollywood. And as I apply this down, we now get the correct stores. So we have 5th Avenue here, which ranks 8th. And if we look for rank number 8 here, you'll see that we do have 5th Avenue. The only problem is if I now drag this across, since we do have a fixed column value of 1 here, then the index function is always going to return the values in my first column here. So what I need to do is change this to another match function. So match, and now what I want to look for is the column header. So I want to look for this column header, which is store right now, fix the row, since I don't want this to move down, but I do want it to move across to the rest of my column headers. I want to look for it in this array of column headers here, fix that. Again, we want to look for an exact match. And now when I press enter, you'll see that this still works. Let's apply this down. And now as I apply this over, I'm getting the rest of the values as well. So let's copy this formatting, apply it here, and it looks like we're good to go. Now I'm going to step into the formula one more time just to show you what this is doing. So again, we're indexing this array, and then the index function is asking me for a row number. So what I'm going to do is look for this rank here, which is 6, in this array here, and it looks like it's in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the 5th row. So index knows that it needs to return one of these values in the 5th row, and then it's asking me for a column. So I'm going to match this value here, which is revenue, in this array here, and it's going to find it in the 2nd column. So now index knows to return a value from the 5th row in the 2nd column, which is 1750, and that's a value that it's returning. And now all we need to do is point these charts at this new table. So let's select the first one, drag the revenue over to this new revenue here, and then just change these values to these. So I'm going to select the chart one more time, go to select data, and then just edit my horizontal axis labels and change them to these. Press OK, press OK. We've got our sorted bar chart now. Let's just add our data labels. We want them on the inside base, inside end. Make these bold and white. And now let's just do the same for this chart. So drag this over here. We can leave these blank values here. And now all we need to do is go to my fill options. You'll see that we do still have it inverted if negative. We just need to establish a solid fill with green for positive values and red for negative values. So this is all good now. Again, just add the data labels, make them bold. Let's add this formatting here. And now we've got our two sorted bar charts. And if we want to test that our dynamic sort order works, let's just go back to our data tab and delete the data from August that we added. And instead of deleting this with the backspace key or the delete key, I'm actually going to press Control-. And what that does is not only delete the values, but delete the records from this table. So you'll see that my corner icon shifted one more time. Let's go back to data prep. All of this is back to normal, and we still have a sorted bar chart.